The one thing I would say about the last couple of weeks is I felt like I could detach a little bit more and sort of hide in a way. And sometimes you need that to completely get away from, I feel like this world of golf can become all-encompassing if you let it. But I think if you remove yourself a little bit from that environment, it's, Justin Rose and I came up together here yesterday, and, we were just chatting about, there's a detachment from the sort of week in, week out grind when you get back over here for, when you play PGA Tour golf for that, sort of first 25, 30 weeks of the year. We were sort of talking about that yesterday on the way up here. But look, it's been lovely to get back and see some familiar faces, and and as Bryony said, it's the first time back playing in the UK since what happened at Augusta, which is that's a really nice feeling as well. Yeah, I think I've done a good job of that since. I missed the cut of Troon and went straight to Portugal, so that was my first holiday. But then, I think over the past, I'd say the past 12 months, I think one of my New Year's resolutions was to have more fun. And I've really tried to do that. So whether it's, me and a bunch of friends went to Dortmund in January and watched the Borussia Dortmund Bayern Leverkusen game. We then stopped off in Istanbul for a night out on our way over to Dubai. So, Poppy's starting to learn how to ski. So we went to Montana in February and, took a skiing holiday. And, I think there's opportunities throughout the year that you can do these sorts of things. And I think now, at the stage of life that I'm at, I'm actually trying to build my schedule around those weeks instead of the other way around, trying to sort of fit them in here, or can I take 4 days off? It's more, no, these are going to not take the priority, but they're going to become more important in scheduling the year. And then, fit the golf tournaments around those. I think it's one of the underappreciated things about any sport, and anyone, like you look at what Novak Djokovic is doing at Wimbledon over the last couple of weeks, or what some of those guys have done, or what someone like Cristiano Ronaldo still doing at 40 years old, or a Tom Brady in American football. That longevity piece, I think, is something that maybe isn't talked about enough, because once you get to a certain level, I feel like the journey on the way up is almost, I'm not going to say it's easy, but you have that momentum and you're riding that wave to the top. And then once you get there, it takes just as much work, if not more work, to stay there. Because, I think about my career, before I won this major this year, the last major I won in 2014, I'd never heard of Scottie Scheffler. So these talents and these players just keep coming and keep getting better each and every generation. And I think you have to adapt your game to make sure that you're able to hang with these generations. And, I feel like I'm one generation ahead of Scotty, for example, who's still in his 20s. And you see all these younger kids that are coming up, the likes of a Michael Thorbjornsen or a Luke Clanton, or, these guys that, basically are ready to play at the top level coming out of college. And you have to, you have to make sure you're staying on top of what makes you such a great player, but you also have to look at the trends and see, okay, well, the guys that are playing well, what are they doing, or is there something that I need to add to my repertoire to keep trying to stay ahead of them? So I think that is a very important piece of it. And, this is, it's my 18th year on tour. I've been winning, professional events for 16 years. And, I just think my drive to keep trying to get a little bit better, or trying to look for little holes in my game that I can tidy up, I think that's a big piece of it. I think it's the same thing. If venues in golf matter to you, it maybe puts a little bit more pressure on you. So Well, I'd love to win an Open at Portrush, absolutely. I'd love to win an Open at St Andrews. I'd love to win a US Open at Pebble Beach. I'd love to win a PGA at PGA Frisco. Not, but no. But it's like there's venues in the game that just mean a little bit more. Frisco might get there one day, who knows? But and I think as well, having Portrush and from home and the experience I had there last time, I want to. The Friday was amazing. The Thursday not so much. But yeah, it's a little like when Djokovic won the Olympics last year. He knew that was going to be his final chance, and you saw the emotion, and you saw how much it meant to him. Yeah, you think about it, and you can't pretend that it's not there. But when you're on the golf course, you just have to go out there and play as if you're not playing at home, and just play as if it's another golf tournament. But yeah, it obviously is a little more. It has a little more like emphasis, or there's something extra there, just like there is at an Open at St Andrews or a US Open at Pebble Beach, for example.